The sun rises over Umudim, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. It is a village where life unfolds at its own pace, a symphony of sights and sounds uniquely its own. The air hums with the melodies of market women, their voices rising and falling as they hawk their wares. Laughter spills from open doorways, children chase chickens through dusty lanes, and the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer provides a steady beat to the day. The heart of Umudim beats strong in its traditions, in the stories shared under the shade of ancient baobab trees, and in the sense of community that binds its people together. Elders, their faces etched with wisdom gleaned over generations, dispense advice and settle disputes. Weddings are celebrated with joyous drumming and dancing, while funerals are marked by somber rituals passed down through generations. Life in Umudim is simple, woven from the fabric of shared experiences and a deep connection to the land. Neighbors help neighbors, celebrating triumphs and sharing burdens. The rhythm of life is steady, predictable, and for many, a source of comfort and peace. But for one young woman, Umudim represents something she desperately wants to escape. Her name is Mira. Mira moves through the village like a restless spirit, her heart yearning for a life beyond the confines of Umudim. The vibrant colors, the familiar faces, the very air she breathes, they all seem to stifle her, fueling a deep-seated discontent within her soul. She possesses a striking beauty, the kind that turns heads even in the bustling chaos of the market square. But it is a beauty tinged with a wistful sadness. Mira hates the poverty that surrounds her, the constant struggle that defines life in Umudim. She sees it in her father's stooped posture, a retired hunter now relegated to gathering firewood. She feels it in the calloused hands of her mother, a woman who toils tirelessly selling vegetables by the roadside, her dreams slowly withering under the relentless sun. More than anything, Mira loathes the thought of being trapped, of her life echoing the struggles of her parents. She craves a different destiny, one adorned with the finery and luxury she glimpses in the glossy pages of magazines. The city, with its allure of opportunity and excitement, calls to her like a siren song, promising a life free from the constraints of her humble beginnings. Mira finds solace in the virtual world, escaping into the digital realm whenever she can steal a moment alone. In the dimly lit corner of a cyber cafe, she immerses herself in a world of curated perfection. Social media becomes her window into a life she craves. A life of extravagant weddings, designer clothes, and endless possibilities. She devours images of glamorous brides adorned in sparkling gowns, their smiles radiating the promise of a life bathed in luxury. Their husbands, impeccably dressed and radiating wealth, become the embodiment of her desires. These fleeting glimpses of a life beyond Umudim fuel her ambition, solidifying her determination to escape the clutches of poverty. Then, one fateful day, a glimmer of hope appears on the horizon. A stranger arrives in Umudim, a man who embodies everything Mira desires: wealth, sophistication, and most importantly, an escape from the life she so desperately wants to leave behind. His name is Chuka, and his arrival in Umudim will set in motion a chain of events that will change Mira's life forever. The walls of Mira's family home, though built with the sturdy mud bricks common in Umudim, seem to close in on her, suffocating her with their familiarity. The thatched roof, patched and repatched over the years, whispered stories of resilience and hardship, a legacy she was determined to outrun. Inside, the small, sparsely furnished rooms held a lifetime of memories, each one a reminder of the limitations she so desperately wished to escape. Her father, once a respected hunter, now moved with a weariness that spoke of years spent battling the elements and returning empty-handed. The spark in his eyes, the one that used to ignite with tales of daring hunts and encounters with wild beasts, had dimmed, replaced by a quiet acceptance of their meager existence. He still offered Mira words of wisdom, gleaned from a life lived in harmony with nature, but she heard only the echoes of a life she refused to embrace. Her mother, her hands roughened by years of tending to their small vegetable garden and haggling for pennies in the marketplace, remained a beacon of unconditional love. She saw the beauty in every sunrise, the bounty in each harvest, and the strength in her daughter's spirit, even if she couldn't grasp the depth of Mira's longing. She would often catch Mira staring dreamily into the distance, a wistful expression on her face, and her heart would ache for a daughter who seemed so determined to chase dreams beyond their humble reach. Mira loved her parents, she truly did. But their love, their acceptance of a life tethered to the land, felt like chains binding her to a destiny she refused to accept. Their contentment with the simple rhythms of village life was a constant source of frustration, a stark contrast to the ambitious fire that burned within her. She yearned to break free, to taste the sweetness of a life unburdened by their daily struggles, a life she believed awaited her beyond the horizon. The arrival of Chuka in Umudim was an event that sent ripples through the tranquil surface of village life. His sleek black car, a gleaming symbol of wealth and modernity, seemed out of place amidst the humble dwellings and dusty paths of Umudim. As the car glided to a stop, its polished exterior reflecting the curious gazes of villagers, a sense of anticipation, tinged with a hint of envy, hung in the air. Chuka, tall and impeccably dressed in city attire, exuded an aura of success and sophistication. His every gesture, from the way he adjusted his designer sunglasses to the confident stride with which he navigated the uneven terrain, spoke of a world far removed from the simplicity of Umudim. He had come to attend the funeral of his late uncle, a respected elder in the village, but his presence sparked whispers and speculation that extended far beyond the somber occasion. Word spread like wildfire through the interconnected network of Umudim. A wealthy stranger, a successful businessman from the city, was in their midst. Mothers, their own dreams long deferred, nudged their daughters forward, hoping to catch his eye. Young men, their shoulders squared with a mixture of admiration and competition, observed his every move. Chuka, for his part, carried himself with a quiet dignity, acknowledging the curious gazes and hushed whispers with a polite nod and a warm smile. Little did they know, a silent storm was brewing in the heart of a young woman named Mira. As she watched Chuka from a distance, her heart quickened with a mixture of hope and anticipation. He represented everything she yearned for: an escape from poverty, a gateway to the glittering world she so desperately craved, and perhaps even a chance at love. Fate, it seemed, was on Mira's side. A village gathering, organized to honor Chuka's late uncle, provided the perfect opportunity for a chance encounter. With calculated precision, Mira positioned herself within Chuka's line of sight, her every gesture a carefully crafted blend of shyness and allure. She allowed her eyes to meet his for a fleeting moment, a spark of recognition igniting in their depths, before bashfully lowering her gaze, as if overwhelmed by his presence. Chuka, accustomed to the attention of sophisticated city women, found himself drawn to Mira's understated beauty and air of quiet grace. Her simple attire, in stark contrast to the flamboyant dresses of some of the other women present, held a certain charm. He sensed a depth in her eyes, a hint of melancholy that piqued his curiosity and set her apart from the throng. Their initial conversations were brief, polite exchanges of pleasantries, but to Mira, they were opportunities to weave a tapestry of half-truths and carefully constructed narratives. She spoke of her family's supposed prominence in a distant village, of her dreams of a life beyond the confines of Umudim, all the while gauging his reactions, adjusting her story to align with his interests. Chuka, though no fool, found himself increasingly captivated by Mira's stories. Her tales of a life both familiar and exotic, tinged with an air of vulnerability, resonated with him. He, too, had known loss, had navigated the complexities of ambition and tradition, and he saw in Mira a kindred spirit, a woman who dared to dream beyond the limitations of her circumstances. He was falling under her spell, his initial skepticism slowly dissolving in the warmth of her calculated charm. As darkness descended upon Umudim, casting long shadows that danced with the flickering flames of kerosene lamps, Mira retreated into the solitude of her small room, her mind ablaze with possibilities. Chuka's interest, his obvious fascination with her fabricated tales of wealth and sophistication, had ignited a spark of hope within her. She had tasted the intoxicating allure of deception, and she was determined to spin a web of lies so intricate, so believable, that it would secure her escape from the life she so desperately wanted to leave behind. The weight of her deception, the knowledge that she was building a relationship on a foundation of deceit, did little to dampen her resolve. She rationalized her actions with a potent mix of desperation and ambition, convincing herself that the ends justified the means. Her conscience, once a nagging voice whispering words of caution, was slowly being silenced by the seductive allure of a life beyond her wildest dreams. Whispers of Mira's elaborate fabrications began to circulate through the village, carried on the wind like seeds scattered by a capricious breeze. Some dismissed them as the envious musings of jealous rivals, while others, their intuition piqued by the inconsistencies in her stories, watched with a mixture of suspicion and fascination. But Mira, shielded by her carefully constructed facade, remained oblivious to the doubts swirling around her, her focus solely on securing Chuka's affections. She knew that words alone would not be enough to sustain the illusion she had created. She needed tangible proof, outward symbols of the life she claimed to lead, to solidify Chuka's belief in her fabricated narrative. And so, with a cunning born of desperation, she devised a plan to acquire the trappings of wealth and sophistication, even if it meant resorting to desperate measures. Under the cover of darkness, cloaked in the secrecy of the night, Mira embarked on a clandestine mission. Her destination was the home of Mama Ada, the pastor's wife, a woman renowned throughout Umudim for her impeccable taste and her collection of fine fabrics and clothing, gifts from her city-dwelling relatives. Mama Ada, known for her kind heart and generous spirit, often opened her home to those in need, a fact that Mira intended to exploit for her own gain. With the stealth of a seasoned thief, Mira slipped into Mama Ada's home, her heart pounding in her chest, a mixture of guilt and anticipation coursing through her veins. The air was thick with the scent of lavender and starch, a testament to Mama Ada's meticulous care for her possessions. Mira's gaze fell upon a beautiful dress, its vibrant colors and intricate embroidery a stark contrast to her own simple garments. It was a dress fit for a queen, a dress that whispered of a life of privilege and luxury. Her fingers trembled as she reached out to touch the delicate fabric, her conscience battling with her desires. For a fleeting moment she hesitated, the weight of her actions threatening to crush her. But the allure of the life she craved, the life she believed this dress represented, proved too strong to resist. With a deep breath, she slipped the dress off its hanger, her fingers lingering on the smooth silk, a silent promise to return it before its absence was discovered. The stolen dress, a symbol of her deceit, burned like a brand against her skin as she made her way back home, her footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. The guilt gnawed at her conscience, but she pushed it aside, burying it deep within the recesses of her mind. She had crossed a line, but there was no turning back. She was committed to her charade, and she would let nothing, not even her own conscience, stand in her way. The internet, that vast and anonymous realm, became Mira's accomplice in her elaborate deception. She spent hours in the dimly lit confines of the cyber cafe, her fingers flying across the keyboard, her eyes scanning the endless stream of images and information that flickered across the screen. She became a digital chameleon, crafting a virtual persona that mirrored the life she so desperately craved. She downloaded images of luxurious vacations, exotic meals, and designer handbags, weaving them into her own narrative with a confidence that belied her true circumstances. She fabricated stories of her family's vast wealth, their connections to influential figures, their travels to far-off lands. She even went so far as to create fake social media profiles, populating them with fictitious friends and acquaintances who marveled at her supposed lifestyle. Chuka, blinded by his growing infatuation, accepted her fabricated tales without question. He was captivated by her worldliness, by the stories she spun of a life so different from his own. He saw in her a woman of ambition, of sophistication, a woman who would elevate his own social standing, a woman worthy of his affections. The lies, like tendrils of a fast-growing vine, began to choke the truth, suffocating any lingering doubts that might have surfaced in Chuka's mind. He was smitten, completely taken in by the illusion she had so carefully crafted. He showered her with gifts, expensive perfumes, designer clothing, tokens of his affection that fueled her desire, reinforcing her belief that she was on the cusp of achieving her dreams. Mira pressed forward, her longing for a life beyond Umudim fueling every move. Chuka, captivated by her charm and ambition, fell deeper into her web, unaware of the lies beneath. Mira's fabrications grew bolder, family emergencies, distant travels, stories to reinforce her new identity. Yet, moments of doubt flickered within her, glimpses of her true self surfacing before being buried by ambition. But the promise of escape and a new life always drowned out her conscience. Beneath the old mango tree, Chuka poured out his love, envisioning a future with Mira. The setting sun, the scent of mangoes, and Chuka's heartfelt words made the moment almost magical. Mira, torn between guilt and desire, played her part, craving the life Chuka offered. When he presented the ring, she accepted, sealing her deception with a whispered yes. The symbol of love on her finger became a constant reminder of the lies she carried. News of Mira's engagement swept through Umudim, stirring envy and disbelief. Mira basked in the attention, her mother's silent sorrow unnoticed amid the village gossip. The envy of her peers validated Mira's choices, even as her mother wept alone in her garden. Preparations for the lavish wedding accelerated, gifts and luxury pouring in from the city. Mira stood on the brink of a new life, convinced her sacrifices would soon be rewarded. Umudim felt more like a cage as Mira prepared for her departure. The village's familiar sights became reminders of the life she was leaving behind. She clung to the dream of Lagos, letting go of any hope for happiness rooted in honesty. The old mango tree, once a symbol of possibility, now marked the end of her innocence. Mama Ngozi's heart ached as she watched her daughter slip away into a world of lies. Excluded from the wedding, she mourned the loss of the girl she once knew. Nightly prayers became her only comfort, hoping Mira would find her way back. But fear lingered. Truth, once buried, always finds a way to the surface. Chuka's doubts grew as Mira dodged questions about her family. Her evasiveness and mounting inconsistencies gnawed at his trust. The foundation of their relationship began to crack under the weight of suspicion. Rumors about Mira's past swirled through Umudim, shifting from envy to suspicion. Ebuka, who knew Mira's true story, felt compelled to act. He couldn't bear to watch her deceive Chuka, a man he respected. With a heavy heart, Ebuka decided to reveal the truth before it was too late. A letter arrived for Chuka, exposing Mira's lies and her real background. At first, he dismissed it, but the details were too precise to ignore. The world he'd built with Mira unraveled as he replayed every moment, searching for the truth. Driven by doubt and heartbreak, Chuka reached for his phone, ready to confirm the devastating revelation. Lagos, the heart of Nigeria, pulsed with a frenetic energy. A symphony of car horns, street vendors' calls, and the rhythmic thrum of life lived at a frenetic pace. Towering skyscrapers cast long shadows over sprawling markets. where the scent of spices mingled with the exhaust fumes of yellow Danfo buses. It was a city of dreams, a magnet for those seeking fortune and fame, and a place where secrets like dust motes caught in a sunbeam swirled and settled in the most unexpected corners. Within the walls of his luxurious mansion, a stark contrast to the vibrant chaos of the city outside, Chuka grappled with the devastating revelations contained within the anonymous letter. The city, once a symbol of his success and the life he was building with Mira, now seemed to mock him, its every corner whispering tales of betrayal and deceit. The walls of his study, adorned with framed degrees and accolades, felt like the bars of a gilded cage, trapping him in a nightmare of his own making. He had tried, in the days since receiving the letter, to maintain a semblance of normalcy, to fulfill his business obligations, to smile and exchange pleasantries with colleagues and acquaintances who knew nothing of the turmoil raging within his soul. But the effort was taking its toll, etching lines of worry on his face, his once sharp mind clouded with doubt and suspicion. Sleep offered no escape, his nights haunted by dreams of Mira, her face morphing from the loving woman he thought he knew to a cunning stranger, her eyes cold and calculating, her lips curved into a mocking smile. He woke each morning with a start, his heart pounding in his chest, the weight of his suspicions pressing down on him like a physical burden. Driven by a mix of anger and a desperate need to uncover the truth, Chuka embarked on a clandestine investigation of his own. He made discreet inquiries through trusted contacts, his wealth and influence granting him access to a network of informants who moved silently through the shadows of Lagos, gathering information with the stealth of seasoned hunters. He hired a team of private investigators, their faces etched with the cynicism born of years spent navigating the city's underbelly, their methods both ruthless and effective. He provided them with the scant details contained within the anonymous letter, the name of the village, the supposed identity of Mira's family, and watched as they spun a web of their own, piecing together the fragments of her fabricated life. The evidence, when it arrived, was irrefutable, each detail like a shard of glass piercing his heart. Photographs of Mira's real family home, a humble dwelling a world away from the lavish lifestyle she had portrayed, flashed across his computer screen, each image a testament to the depth of her deceit. Financial records, obtained through means he didn't care to know, revealed the true extent of her poverty, the stark contrast between her fabricated wealth and the reality of her daily existence. The realization that he had been played, that the woman he loved was nothing more than a figment of her own imagination, sent a surge of anger coursing through his veins. He had staked his heart, his reputation, on a lie, and the thought of the humiliation that awaited him, the whispers of amusement that would undoubtedly circulate through the upper echelons of Lagos society, filled him with a rage that threatened to consume him. The wedding day arrived, a symphony of white silk and fragrant lilies, orchestrated to perfection within the hallowed halls of a grand cathedral. Guests, resplendent in their finery, whispered amongst themselves, their conversations a blend of admiration for the groom's success and envy for the bride's supposed fortune. No one, not even Chuka's closest friends and confidants, suspected the storm brewing beneath the surface of his carefully composed exterior. He had considered, in the agonizing days leading up to the wedding, confronting Mira directly, exposing her lies and calling off the wedding. But a part of him, a part still clinging to the remnants of his love for her, couldn't bring himself to inflict that kind of public humiliation, not only on her but on himself and their families. Instead, he devised a plan, a calculated act of revenge that would expose Mira's deception on the grandest stage imaginable. He would allow her to walk down the aisle, to bask in the admiration of the crowd, to believe that her carefully constructed facade had held firm. And then, at the moment of truth, when she stood before him, ready to pledge her life to his, he would unveil the truth, shattering her carefully crafted illusion in front of everyone she had sought to deceive. As the strains of the wedding march filled the air, and all eyes turned to the back of the church, Chuka stood at the altar, his heart pounding in his chest, a mixture of dread and anticipation churning in his gut. He watched as the doors swung open, and a hush fell over the assembled guests, their faces a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. It was not the vision of radiant beauty that had captivated Chuka's heart that emerged from the shadows at the back of the church. Instead, a figure of quiet dignity, her head held high despite the tremor in her steps, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and resolve, made her way down the aisle, her every movement a silent indictment of the elaborate charade being played out before them. Mama Ngozi, her weathered face a testament to a life of hard work and sacrifice, her simple attire a stark contrast to the opulence of the surroundings, moved through the stunned silence of the cathedral, her gaze fixed on her daughter's back. The guests, their whispers dying in their throats, parted like the Red Sea, their eyes wide with a mixture of shock and morbid fascination. Mira, her face ashen, her carefully constructed composure crumbling like a poorly built facade, turned to face the source of the disruption. The bouquet of lilies, a symbol of purity and innocence, slipped from her grasp, the white petals scattering across the floor like fallen snowflakes, a poignant reminder of the fragility of her deception. In that moment, the weight of her lies, the years of carefully constructed deceptions, crashed down upon Mira, suffocating her with their suffocating weight. Her legs buckled beneath her, and she crumpled to the floor, her sobs echoing through the stunned silence of the cathedral. A symphony of despair that drowned out the faint strains of the wedding march, a poignant reminder that some truths, once buried, have a way of demanding to be heard. The silence that had blanketed the cathedral, heavy with the weight of revelation, shattered into 1,000 shards of whispered gossip. The guests, their initial shock giving way to a mixture of amusement and pity, craned their necks to catch a glimpse of the fallen bride, their hushed pronouncements carrying the sting of judgment and the bitter aftertaste of betrayal. Chuka, his heart a hollow cavern echoing with the pain of betrayal, watched as Mira's carefully constructed world crumbled around her. The anger that had fueled his desire for revenge dissipated, replaced by a profound sense of sadness and a weary acceptance of the truth. He had been played, masterfully and ruthlessly, and the realization stripped him bare, exposing the raw vulnerability that lay beneath his carefully cultivated veneer of success and sophistication. The whispers, the pitying glances, the knowledge that her deception had been laid bare for all to see, washed over Mira in relentless waves of shame. The life she had so desperately craved, the life she had built on a foundation of lies, evaporated like a mirage in the desert, leaving her stranded in a wasteland of her own making. Mama Ngozi, her heart aching for her daughter's pain, moved through the crowd, her presence parting the sea of judgment like a beacon of unwavering love. She knelt beside Mira, her touch gentle yet firm, her eyes speaking volumes without the need for words. It was a mother's love, unconditional and unwavering, that pierced through the fog of Mira's despair, reminding her that even in the darkest of moments, even in the aftermath of the most devastating betrayals, there was still hope for redemption, for forgiveness, for a return to the solace of truth. Life in Umudim, in its own unhurried way, continued to unfold, its rhythms as steady and predictable as the rising and setting of the sun. The whispers about Mira's downfall eventually faded, replaced by discussions of the harvest, the upcoming yam festival, and the latest pronouncements from the village elders. Mira returned to the village, her spirit humbled, her heart heavy with the weight of her actions. The shame of her deception lingered, a constant shadow accompanying her every step. But it was a shame tempered by the realization that true happiness lay not in the pursuit of material wealth or social status, but in the embrace of honesty, integrity, and the unwavering love of those who knew her best. Chuka, his wounds slowly healing, found solace in the arms of a woman who embodied the qualities he now valued above all else: honesty, integrity, and a genuine warmth that radiated from within. Theirs was a love story built on a foundation of mutual respect and shared values, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of truth. And so, the tale of Mira's deception became a cautionary tale whispered amongst the villagers, a reminder that the pursuit of happiness through deceit is a fool's errand, a path that ultimately leads back to the very place one seeks to escape. The truth, like a seed buried deep within the earth, has a way of finding its way to the surface, its emergence both inevitable and transformative. And in the end, it is truth, in all its quiet power, that reigns supreme.